Hi, good day, good night, good evening, depending on what time you happen to be watching this. Welcome to another episode of House of Stars. I'm your girl Star. And today, as you can see from the title, I'm going to be talking about spiritual marriages, and to know if you're in one or what my experience was when I had to go through spiritual divorce and things like that. Sorry about the setup. I just moved to a new space, so I don't really have like anything to really like put my camera on. So I kind of have to like just sit here and hold it in my hand. But I'm a firm believer. Like this past year, I've gone through a lot of like spiritual experiences and spiritual awakenings, spiritual learning, teachings, and things like that. And like I wanted to just run online and just like share with people, because a lot of my clients and the clientele I've been getting have been, all fall under the spectrum of some of the things that I learned and I dealt with and things like that. But I just kind of go based on like what spirit wants me to do. So that's why I was like, okay, you know what? Spirit said to me, put up a video today, talk about your spiritual divorce. This is something that is a very common thing for most people that are going through issues that come to spiritual people like myself or need cleansing or whatever that's been occurring, that's blocking your passageway of like, experiencing the ultimate power of your ashe. So first things first, what's a spirit husband? So a spirit husband is an incubus spirit or a succubus spirit, which is essentially a sex demon, that's either attached or you have a relationship with on the astral realm or on the physical realm of some sort. Usually, when you're in spiritual marriages, they affect your love life. They make it really hard for you to connect to other people. It messes with your fertility. It messes with just karmic cycles and keeping you bounded in karmic cycles. Spirit husbands can cause a lot of stuff. So my experience was, I was in a situation. It was like it lasted about 2 years, and I know that that person had some issues with like incubus, succubus type shit. You know what I mean? And it was kind of weird because it's almost like spirit brought this person in my life to like give me awareness of like something that was already happening to me, right? So fast forward, that situation ended. And I remember when it happened, I was on YouTube and I just started seeing all this stuff on like spirit husbands, how to divorce your spirit husband, stuff like that. Because I started to notice like just not even just that, like in dreams, I was having certain dreams that were like really odd, like very overly sexualized dreams or dreams where I was in like different realms or in different places that like I've never had dreams of being before. Like it was just really weird. And I'll never forget, my mom came to me and she had a dream of me. And I was like, gonna get into a relationship with this man. And this other guy came up and was like, so you're gonna end up getting with him? You're like, you're never, ever, ever, ever gonna be able to leave me. So I was like, look at my mom like, what are you talking about? She's like, yeah. And I asked her how the man looked, and the man looked like nothing like I know or ever met anyone like that before or whatever, right? So lo and behold, that's when I identified spirit told me like you have a spirit husband. Like you need to divorce your spirit husband. So I was like, okay. So I started looking up videos, doing research, things like that. A lot of it's very common, especially in like the African diaspora, because especially for a person like myself that has my Ashe, that's into Ifa, like, has like a water spirit to themselves, it's like usually these incubus, succubus spirits are very drawn to people that carry that essence or carry a strong sense of melanin to their skin, because of course our essence and our energy absorbs so much light, and because their spirit is of the dark, we're like a really good feeding source for these kind of energies, right? So usually a lot of black women or black men or like African descent people usually have a huge problem with spirit husbands. So I was finding this video, whatever. I was like, okay, like, I'm gonna do this because I'm like, obviously, spirit is like trying to get me to do this because clearly it's messing with my life and messing with my energy and messing with my shade. So I'm like, I'm gonna do this. So I went and bought the main ingredient that you use in a spiritual divorce is called in Ghana or Nigeria, mainly Ghana. They call it plakese, and or it's called Aiden fruit. So I bought it. Sorry, don't mind me like if you see me like swallowing profusely because I don't know, the weather's changing so much. So like I like my tonsils are like freaking acting up. So I bought this fruit and I took a bath in it, right? So I took a bath and then something they told me take one of your underwear, especially your soiled underwear that you have, and leave it at the church house, right? Something you've worn that has your essence on it, whatever. So I left it at the church house and then I came back and I did this bath. I swear, I will never forget, I was sleeping on the couch, okay? And a lot of people will tell you this, that when you actually do a spiritual divorce or stories that you hear, like the husband will like appear to you, right? So I didn't see who the person was. I could just hear the voice, but it was like not a voice I recognized, a very deep, deep voice. And I remember at this time I was living in my other house and I was sleeping on the couch. This is when I used to have my altar in the living room and I had an altar for Oya there. So I was like for that season, all I did was sleep under Oya. For some reason, it was really weird. But it makes perfect sense because Oya sees in the darkness, you know what I mean? So anything that's in your shadow, like Oya is really good at seeing that. So I was sleeping under Oya and I remember my dad getting up and I'm like half asleep, half awake, getting up and standing by the door, right? And all I could smell was like this smell that smelled like citronella, okay? Like I honestly thought my dad was burning something at the doorway. And I remember like being in between sleeping up and saying to my father, like, Dad, thanks for burning that. You know what I mean? And then like I remember him going into the bedroom. So I'm still sleeping there. And like this man appears, or this spirit, demon rather, but I could hear the voice and it's like, fine, fine, I'll never bother you again. And I was just like stunned. And it's just like, I just smelled like this burning, like, it's like almost like the more closer it was trying to get to me, all I could smell was like burning sulfur. And it like, it's like I could smell it going away because whatever was there was like burning it away. And I was like, what the fuck? So like I woke up and I was like, yo, that's the most trippiest shit I've ever experienced. But at the same time, I was like happy because I'm like, clearly what I'm doing is working. So I continued to do the bath. And then I had this another dream. And now I'm on the astral realm. And I swear, and I'm going to mention it. I don't know why Spirit's making me mention it, but I am. I keep on, and I'm telling you for the past 7 years, I keep on having the same recurring dream of this man. I don't know who he is, but he looks like he's Hispanic, but more of a like Afro-Latina Hispanic, but more like a lighter color. He wears glasses, and he has these very distinctive eyes that I've ever seen. Like there's, but it's weird. It's like he has a very regular face, but he has such a distinctive look. But like anytime I see him, it's like he looks so like he's so intentional with me. But it doesn't feel positive whenever I see him. It feels like this nigga, like I don't know who he is, but like I've seen him. I think the first time I ever saw him was 7 years ago, one time. And I was in my washroom and I was looking in the mirror and I woke up, like it was weird, like I had a vision and I seen him like looking at me in the mirror. And I was just like, the fuck, who is this guy? But he was there and I saw like my sacral chakra, like my lower parts. And it was like, he took like a sword or something and he went shoo, and cut. And I was just draining like bodily fluid. And then like I was attached to somebody, but it was like I remember like my throat. Like I was like trying to like detach or something like that. And it was fucking crazy. And then that's when I went to spiritual court. So people doesn't know like you can go to divine council, do whatever. And I went to spiritual court, and that's when I petitioned like before divine council, which I would actually explain how to do that later. And it was like officially like spiritually like I'm putting through this divorce. Like I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't know what the situation is. But yeah, it's evident that I need to do that. So fast forward, like I started work after that situation for a good like 6 months. I started to meet a ton of women, like so much women. Like a bunch of women started to come into the shop that I work at, and all of them had spiritual divorce problems. Like literally were telling me about recurring dreams that they were having, like being attacked by like their exes and stuff like that. I even had somebody that literally was like almost at the point of spiraling out of control because they thought that their ex was like after them when really what it was like an aspect of them, which was like this demon that was masquerading as that person. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we get into relationships, like I know for a fact, like the last few relationships I've been in, that I was with men that carried attachments, that carried like incubus like energy. Because I would notice like when I was in relationships with them, the way that I would my energy would spiral was like not just what I'm used to. I'm usually a very even temper type of person. And like my energy would spiral. And I would remember feeling like drained and whatever. And I have to understand because I have to go with my shade. Because also too, like me being a spiritual person, like only amplifies the symptoms that you can experience when dealing with somebody that may have an attachment or a spiritual spouse or whatever the case may be. Because obviously, like when you have very high energy or a healer or have high vibrations, these spirits live off of that. They feed off of that. You know what I mean? The reason why spirit is drawing me to do this video is because when we had our pandemic, people have to understand that even though there was a physical pandemic in this world, there's also a spiritual one, okay? And because of that, a lot of people, because we were on lockdown and stuff like that, had been cut off from being outside, getting the vitamin D they needed, things like that. And a lot of people were at home. And because of that, on the spiritual realm, there was it was almost like how there was like a physical pandemic, there was a spiritual pandemic where there was a lot of low vibrational energies and spirits that were dispersed in the air. And it's come to a point that there's a lot of people, especially like clients. Like, I'm not even talking like my clients, like, of course, they're coming to a spiritual person, like they're spiritually receptive. But I'm literally having people that are like normal people that don't usually deal with this that come to me where they've been in relationships with people that carry negative energies around them. You know what I mean? And like being like, it's like Jekyll and Hyde. You know what I mean? Like I had a client where she was like, my boyfriend, like she would tell me like there's two sides of him. You know what I mean? And she's like, I've literally sat there and watched the second person manifest. You know what I mean? And it's just like a pandemic and like of spiritual sickness that's going around. And I just feel like in my line of work and dealing with women that are looking to elevate their life, looking to grow, looking to have love, children, whatever the case may be, a huge hindrance of what is happening is them having these spiritual relationships. Like one of these ways you can get it is getting these attachments. Sometimes they enter from when you're very young. So if you are a person that ever experienced sexual abuse, because they actually attract to your innocence, the most lightest aspects of yourself. Sometimes they love having a way of attaching themselves to your inner child. and feeding off of your inner child wounding. So I noticed that most cases, people that I've come across are people that have been molested when they were younger, when they were, you know, at a young age. Another thing is through drugs. Drugs or promiscuous sexual activities, of course, is how you can get these spirit husbands or incubus spirits that leech onto you and kind of keep you in the cycle of going in circles. You know what I mean? Because essentially, what their aim is for them to attach to you so that they are fed. You know what I'm saying? So, meaning, for example, if you get yourself in a relationship and they have a way of, I don't know, attach, like keeping you in a space where you can't achieve the ultimate happiness when it comes to love. Because essentially what ends up happening is when you get your heart broken, your vibration gets lower. As the vibration gets lower, it's easier for them to feed off of. If you're going through a bad situation and you use drugs and alcohol, that's keeping your vibration low. And essentially keeping your vibration low, that makes it more stronger for these spirits to dwell. You know what I mean? Some of these actual spirits too, they're even ancestral. You know what I mean? Where there's a lot of ancestors down the line that, you know, you're born with these spiritual husbands that come in and cause a lot of havoc in your life. So, yeah, like that's pretty much it. Like spirit just, I don't even know if I'm making sense. I'm just kind of ranting right now. But I would advise people to, I'm going to put a link in the description box on exactly what to do. Probably even get you do a video one time and explain what to do. But I will say that try getting some percase, getting that herb. I'm gonna put in the description box and take a bath in it and see. It's really good cleansing, anyways, and it actually helps you really connect to your ancestors and get help from your ancestors and see if some of the things that you're going through, where it could be what's hindering your love life, what's hindering your fertility, what's hindering your abundance, what's hindering you really healing, has anything to do with you having a spiritual spouse, a spiritual husband, or better yet, an attachment that needs to be removed. So yeah, that's it. So I hope you guys like this video. If you have any questions about anything I said, let me know and I can elaborate on it. But I'm just kind of following spirit right now and just kind of going off of what spirit tells me to do and like making these videos and y'all getting educated on what's really going on out there. And if you need help with cleansing your life or anything like that, you can always hit me up on Instagram or you can hit me up on Facebook. And I can go into details there with doing a session. Okay? So I do want to thank you so much for your time and rocking with me. May God bless you and the angels protect you. Good night.